Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jessica and I am currently a uni student. I study biomedical science and no, I will not be disclosing where I'm studying at university. A lot of people are comfortable with that, but I personally do not want to do that. I decided to choose biomedical science to study as my degree simply because I love learning. Okay, and all degrees you can learn something, but I feel as though the STEM subjects for me stimulate my mind the most in terms of challenging it sufficiently without making me want to lose the will to live. Because when it comes to subjects such as maths and physics, they are not for me. Okay, I like anatomy, I love the human body, I love finding out how things work, and with this degree I want to go on to study a medicine degree. Don't know where I'm going to do that, but I would really like to do that in the future. And so the aim of this sort of channel, whatever, is sort of for people to get to know me, but also I have so many things to talk about and I feel like I don't have enough people or enough time to talk about it with people who know me in real life. So this is what this channel is going to be about. So as I said before, my name's Jessica and I gave my degree, and I also love reading. Okay, I love reading. I love listening to music. Typically I listen to like country and classical. I'm getting really into that at the moment. As far as reading goes, I will read anything. Okay, this is my uni bookshelf, and yes, it still has Christmas tinsel on it because I think it looks pretty. I know it's not Christmas anymore, but it's my dorm, so this is my bookshelf here. At home, I do have a full floor-to-ceiling bookshelf, and that is entirely full. I've been an avid reader since I was about, I don't know, since as long as I can remember. When I was younger, I used to read books that were not made for my age. So an example of this was, I think I was like 7 or 8, and the school I used to go to during primary was a private school, and the library had like many levels, and the lowest level was for like the primary school children, and then like as you go up it was like they increased in age, I suppose, and nobody was really manning the library for some reason, so I decided why not head up to the next level, and I found this book called Moby Dick. Okay, I didn't know it was about a whale. Okay, I didn't know anything about it. I just picked it up because it sounded interesting, and I think I read about half of it before I got bored of it. Okay, I was 7 years old. Nobody really paid attention to me when I was younger because I was selectively mute. Okay, the only people I ever spoke to was my family and the teachers. Okay, I didn't have my first proper friend till I think I was about 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. It was when I went to primary school in England that I made my first friend. And I didn't really keep up with her after primary because she was in the year below me and she was a lovely girl. However, when I went to secondary school, I kind of just became a different person. So I sort of stopped being friends with her, which sounds shitty, but I was young and didn't know what I was doing. So that's a little bit about my backstory. As far as reading goes, I still read today, not as much as I used to. In fact, last year was the first year in which I have not completed my reading goal. It was 60 and I only managed to read 57 books out of 60, which I was disappointed about because I do love reading. Okay, I want to read every second of every day. However, that's not feasible given the circumstances of my degree choice. Okay, however, I do still find time to read because after I read a lot of scientific papers for research and doing all my coursework, I like to decompress by reading romance books. Okay, don't come for me. I'm just a girl at the end of the day. So last year I finished off the year by reading Heated Rivalry. Those 3 books. Yeah, the first, the second, and the last book in the Heated Rivalry series. Because I got obsessed with the TV show. Like I said, I'm just a girl. You can't blame me for it, okay? You can't blame me. So that is what I read for the last 3 books of the year last year, I think, if I can recall. Other than that, I love drinking orange juice, okay? And I didn't realize how much I loved orange juice until I was like moving back in for, what is it, after Christmas? Yeah, right now. Obviously I'm in my uni dorm, and me and my mum, we went shopping, and she was like, how many bottles of orange juice do you want? Mind you, I'm going back on like Friday, and it's currently Wednesday. I was like, oh, I need 2 bottles of orange juice, and she's like, that's a lot. And I'm like, I drink a lot of orange juice. I love orange juice, okay? It's literally everything to me. Well, not everything, there are probably better things, but orange juice and cake, not together, because I like lemon cake, and orange and lemon does not really go. But I make smoothies, okay? Yeah, I love making orange smoothies with like frozen fruit, okay? Like just like the frozen baggies you get from Lidl. And frankly, then I like blend them together, and it comes out to this like frozen yogurt thing. It's not yogurt because I can't eat dairy. However, it's like frozen. I suppose it's a smoothie, but it's like really frozen. It's really good. So I've been eating that for breakfast for the past couple of days, and I really enjoy it because I do like my fruits and I do love orange juice. However, it has been a struggle recently to get me to eat the right foods, because when I come to uni, there's like so many options, there we go. And so that really like scrambles my brain, because it's like, oh, I could have this. No, you need to eat the things that, 1, keep you healthy, and 2, you like, okay? Because the amount of money I spent last year on food that was probably not good for me, but I did enjoy, okay? For example, I discovered that pizza shops don't do good chicken wings. They just don't, okay? And I also discovered that, what's that place called that does amazing dough balls? I think it's Pizza Express. They do amazing dough balls, but even better, vegan garlic butter. That garlic butter is actually heavenly, okay? When I tell you, this video isn't sponsored, but if they were to sponsor me, I would still say the same thing, because that garlic butter is heavenly, and I wish I had the recipe for it, okay? Because as somebody who cannot eat dairy, okay, and cannot eat regular butter, finding garlic butter to put on like bread or whatever is rare, okay? That is the first time I think I've ever not had to make the garlic butter myself, and I think it was like called garlic and herb or something. Whatever it was gorgeous, okay? And I just think that everybody and their mother should run to Pizza Express just for the dough balls and the vegan garlic butter. Sue me, okay? Like I said before, I'm not being paid for any of this, okay? Sadly, maybe one day I will, but today is not that day. Today it's not gonna be that day, okay? And as you can tell, my first video is kind of a mess, okay? But I'm not gonna edit it, because I feel like in today's society there's like a lot of editing going on with social media, and 1, I don't know how to edit, and 2, I don't have the time to edit, okay? I simply am videoing this, and then I'm gonna pop it up on YouTube, and maybe eventually I'll start a podcast, but I really don't know how things are gonna go from here. So the title of this video was going to be intros, orange juices, and obsessions. So now we're going to move on to my obsessions. Since I was 12 years old, probably before that, I have been an obsessive fangirl, okay? I have autism, and prior to being a fangirl, one of my special interests was dogs, okay? I am very much a dog person, and so prior to acquiring my dog, which I love dearly, maybe I'll even put a picture up of her over here if I can figure that out. Probably won't, because I don't want to edit this. But I love dogs, so I learned every single dog breed by the time I was like 11 years old, okay? I was obsessed. I'd watch rescue videos of dogs, I'd learn all the dog breeds, what they were used for, what they were bred for originally. I was obsessed. And then my mum eventually got a dog, because I pestered her so much that she listened to me, and now she loves that dog, okay, because she is amazing. I love her. Anyways, then the next obsession came, and that was my One Direction era, okay? And looking back on that, I was in deep psychosis, okay? Because on top of being autistic, okay, which is just a disability, I'm also mentally ill. Yes, I am mentally ill. However, I did not realize this until my sister started getting symptoms and she was sectioned because of her mental illness. That I realized, oh, maybe I'm mentally ill. Yeah, I am indeed mentally ill. However, because of my character, I'm just very shy and reserved. So I never told anybody about my psychosis. I don't know if I ever will divulge that much information. We shall see if I ever get ready to talk about that. But I was in deep psychosis from the ages of 12 to 16, okay? And most of this revolved around One Direction. And when I tell you that I think it probably encouraged my psychosis, I don't think a lot of people would be happy about that, but it did. Let me explain. I was very much a Larry Stylinson shipper back in the day, okay? If you don't know what that is, go look it up, okay? You'll figure out enough about that. I was so into this whole lore that I learned so much about One Direction. I convinced myself they were coming back. They're never coming back. R.I.P. Liam Payne. Anyways, I became so obsessed with Larry Stylinson that it consumed my whole life. Like, I was posting about it on my Instagram with my friends on it. I was sending, like, I created a literal 20-page PowerPoint for my English teacher during lockdown about Larry Stylinson to convince her that they were together. Okay, I sometimes wonder if she still has that PowerPoint because I don't think I do. However, I was so, like, invested in this whole conspiracy that I was like, they are definitely real, okay? And I didn't realize until my sister asked for my TikTok and I gave it to her as one would, and then she looked through my videos, but through like the most liked, and it was entirely about Larry Stylinson. And in that moment I realized just how much deep shit I had gotten myself into. Okay, because of the way the fandom is sort of centered around everybody feeding off of their own theories and everything, you sort of get stuck in this sort of closed loophole where everybody's agreeing with everybody, and if you don't like something, well, then you don't have to believe it because you can always find somebody else who agrees with your beliefs. And that is a very, very dangerous situation to be in because it sort of perpetuates the sort of negative ideas you may have. I'm not saying that all the ideas in this fandom were negative, and I'm not coming for anybody. If you like One Direction and you think Larry Stylinson is real, good for you, but I'm talking about me here. This is about me. And the fact that I was so deep within the fandom that I couldn't see any other way to exist, it was so bad for me. And I don't know how I escaped. Okay, I don't know. I think I finished reading Duplicity by Happy Days 1D, and that broke me so much that I sort of just stopped. Okay, I was just like, no more. And I have not picked up a single RPF since, okay? Swear to God. Excuse me. And I think that was certainly when I was at my lowest. It was because I was in severe depression. I also, like I said, I was in psychosis. Like, is this enough to count as religious psychosis caused by One Direction? Quite possibly. So that is certainly something that occurred. And from that, I learned that I have a really obsessive personality. And if I'm not careful, I will literally... Why is it literally doing that? I hate that. Why is it literally flashing? That's really going to bother me. Will it work? I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. That's a little better. I don't know why it's... Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, my obsessions. That was my lowest point. Okay, and I realized that I can get really attached to people, and for me personally, that's not good. Okay, because it literally consumes my entire being. Okay, I literally feel like they love me, like they're obsessed with me and they want me, when that's not true. It's simply not true. That is in fact false. So after that, I sort of became more aware of the fact that I am mentally ill, which is fine. I just have to learn to deal with it, okay, and sort of find methods to work around it. And that does not come in the form of not being a fangirl, okay? I'm still a fangirl to this day, okay? I love Formula One, however, I'm not as obsessive over it as I was over One Direction. I've always had a sort of a healthy relationship with Formula One. For example, for my EBQ during my A-levels, I did it on Lewis Hamilton and whether he could be considered the greatest F1 driver of all time. And I got an A on that whole thing, so I was really happy about that. And I think it was really good because I got to look at it from like an almost non-biased point of view, even though I do like Formula One. I tried to make sure that my data was like from multiple different sources. And ever since I did that EPQ, I've sort of realised about myself that I just like investigating. Okay, I like looking into different things. I like looking into weird topics. I like knowing random facts. Okay, I like knowledge, and my search for knowledge is probably what drives me every single day, because I just want to learn everything, okay? I really want to learn more languages, okay? However, I'm really struggling with German, so I'm kind of dipping my toe into Italian, and I have not gone far with that, but slow and steady wins the race. I will eventually get there, so that's that. But one thing about me is that I am very self-aware, and with this whole growing up too quickly and having obsessions and loving orange juice, I just have to learn to be courteous to myself, okay? Because life is too short to be harsh on yourself. You have to sort of take like your time, because this is your first time on earth. You're going to make mistakes no matter how old you are, and you just have to be gentle, okay? Be gentle with yourself when it's necessary, and be stern with yourself when it's not. And the more you do it, the more you learn when you need to do these sort of things. And it took me a long time to learn that, but once I did, I sort of gave myself the space to be who I needed to be. I was like, okay, Jessica, it's okay. Life's not going to end. You can just learn from your mistakes, and that's entirely okay, okay? You don't have to be right 100% of the time, okay? You can just keep silent if you want to. You can speak up if you want to, but it's important to do what's right for you, okay? As somebody who has felt like their voice has never really been seen, I have really been trying to work on speaking up when I feel it's necessary. But that doesn't always work out for me, because I am the youngest daughter, okay? That's just who I am. And I sort of believe that as the youngest daughter, my thoughts will often get overlooked. And that's just an unfortunate predicament for me. What can I say? Because I sort of came up with this theory. Is it backed by anything? No, it's just from personal experience. And it's called the youngest daughter theory. And it's basically the idea that as the youngest daughter, if you have like older siblings, especially if there's a significant gap between you and the sibling closest in age to you, then you will often be treated like a child regardless of what age you are, and your ideas will often be disregarded because why would you know anything? There goes my setting spray. Anyways, why would I know anything? Okay, because I'm the youngest. I haven't lived as long as anybody else. I'm not supposed to know this much, okay? So people often don't listen to me just simply on the basis that I am the youngest daughter. And in order to combat this, I really have sort of looked at it, and in the end, I've decided like there's times to speak up and there's times to just let things happen. So in order to sort of get through this, if I feel like something needs to be said, I will say it, okay? Let's say somebody is needing to be told, oh, don't do this or do this, okay? I will tell them once. If they don't understand, twice. And if I've explained it to them on the third time, then I will just leave it, okay? Because I'm not here to babysit your son, okay? I am literally 18 years old. That's it. So why am I wasting my time trying to explain to you how to do things, okay? Simply because you won't listen to me. And the most satisfying thing is when I tell them not to do something and they do it anyway and something bad happens. What did I say? And I just look at them like, I did tell you that. I did tell you that. But here we are. Because you don't listen to me, now we're stuck in this predicament. I think that's all for today. I don't think I have anything else to say. But we shall see.